What's going on, guys? This is AndrewChicken and welcome back to another video. Bomb King is one of the most powerful damage champions in Paladins, with a fantastic kit that can shred through anybody with enough practice. He's got great mobility and can reach a multitude of different places throughout the different maps in the game. He also has some fantastic crowd control abilities, and his ultimate sends even the boldest champion running in fear. However, in the most recent patch Radiant Stars, Bomb King was finally nerfed. His damage was dropped down to 850 per bomb, which changes Bomb King's interactions with several different champions in a major way. A few of Bomb King's cards have also been changed since my last guide on Bomb King, which I made last year, and I've also discovered new things about the champion which I can use to help you improve at this amazing blast champion in Paladins. So, as always with my Season 3 tutorials, I'll be starting off with an overview of his kit and some helpful tips for how to master it. I'll also be going over the different talents and how their interactions change with his recent nerf, and then I'll be going over loadouts and which cards are good with Bomb King. But with that out of the way, let's take a look at Bomb King's kit and see exactly what this incredible champion has to offer. Alright, let's get into Bomb King's kit, starting off with his sticky bombs. These are a lobbed projectile, which have a decent travel time and are pulled down by gravity the farther out they travel. This means that for targets which are farther away, you're going to have to predict where the enemies will be horizontally by the time your bomb reaches them, and then throw the bomb at that spot instead of directly at them. You'll also have to aim your reticle farther and farther above the champions depending on how far away they are if you want to hit them. Then, once the bombs are either stuck on an enemy or within a close enough proximity to them mid-air, you can detonate them for 850 damage. This used to be 900 damage, and the 50 damage taken off per bomb has made a lot more encounters a bit harder with Bomb King, but more on that later. The combination of having to predictively lead your bombs on an enemy, aim your reticle higher up the farther away they are, and time your detonation so that they explode in the enemy's face makes them a difficult projectile to master. If you want to practice leading your projectiles on an enemy and getting comfortable with them, one of the best ways to do that is actually just to play several games with Bomb King. Practice makes perfect, and Bomb King's sticky bombs are no exception. The most important thing to master with these weapons is the timing of his detonate, and learning that timing comes with practice. If you want to master timing the detonation of his bombs, then head to the shooting range. Try throwing his bombs from different distances at the victors, and see how quickly you can detonate them before they no longer do damage. Keep practicing at this until you're able to quickly and reliably detonate the bombs on the victors from a multitude of distances. And of course, don't use royal subjects for this exercise. That talent won't help you if you're really trying to improve your accuracy with this champion. But once you're a master of the timing on Bomb King's bombs, then you can throw a bomb and detonate it while you're not even looking at the person anymore, and still score some damage on them. Next, let's discuss one of my favorite parts of Bomb King's kit, his Poppy Bomb. This device serves as both an offensive tool and a movement ability. It deals 150 damage and knocks all enemies within its radius back by a decent amount. It also knocks back Bomb King if he's near enough to the blast, which means you'll need to be careful if you want to use it defensively in close quarters. You'll primarily be using this as a movement ability to get to the high ground, advance on an enemy, or take a better position. You can control the horizontal distance you gain from the Poppy Bomb by controlling how close you are to the center of the blast. If you're closer to the center, you'll go almost directly upwards. But if you're closer to the edge of the blast, you'll get some serious horizontal momentum. You can also jump right before you detonate the bomb for some additional height. If you really want to practice using the Poppy Bomb for movement and getting up to a variety of different ledges, I suggest you head into a custom game on Serpent Beach with a bot or a friend. There, you can use the Poppy Bomb to reach every single high ground on the map from different positions. It's a great place to explore just how versatile this one ability is. You can also use the Poppy Bomb to bounce over walls, such as those on Jaguar Falls. But in a fight, sometimes you don't want to use it for mobility. You can use a surprise Poppy Bomb on a flanker or enemy damage champion to disorient them, and if you know where the Poppy Bomb will throw them, you can even score a few easy hits. You can also use the Poppy Bomb to throw an enemy off a cliff. Just make sure that when you detonate the Poppy Bomb, the enemy is between the Poppy Bomb and the ledge. If the Poppy Bomb is between the enemy and the ledge, you'll actually throw them towards you instead, which might not be good. Also, you're going to find it pretty much impossible to knock champions such as Eevee, Drogoz, or Maeve off the map, so don't try it. The Poppy Bomb works best against low mobility targets like Tyra or Inara. His Poppy Bomb can also be destroyed by enemies which have blast weapons or hit a stray bullet on the Poppy Bomb. This means that when you use it, you either want to detonate it mid-air before they have a chance to destroy it, or use it as quickly as possible once it hits the ground. You can also use the card Jolt to have it explode instantly and never have to worry about the Poppy being destroyed, but this can make it more cumbersome to use the Poppy for mobility. I'll talk more about that card later. Bomb King's Grumpy Bomb is a useful crowd control ability and zoning tool. By throwing it on the objective, you force the enemies to make a decision. Either they stay on the point and risk getting stunned, they leave the point and possibly cede it to your team, or they put up a defensive ability using it to block the Grumpy Bomb. If they get stunned, well, you simply put them out of their misery. The stun lasts more than long enough for you to get at least 2 bombs on them. The Grumpy Bomb is mainly used for zoning. You can throw it on the point to force the enemies to run or use a shield, or you can throw it down a hallway to keep someone from advancing into the room. If someone is ambushing you though, you shouldn't throw the Grumpy Bomb at them. It takes a decent length of time to cast, and when the Grumpy Bomb is out, it still takes 3 seconds to detonate. You're better off just throwing as many sticky bombs as possible at your assailant. And lastly, his King Bomb. This is a powerful ability, but you do have to be careful when using it. It has a lengthy windup to it before you ever start traveling. This means that it's safer to use it while behind cover or while moving by throwing your Poppy Bomb, stepping in front of it, activating your ult, and then detonating the Poppy Bomb. This will propel you through the sky while you're charging up your ult, and when you land, you're ready to blow the enemies up. If you're paying attention to your surround sound and you hear an enemy coming, you can predictably charge up your ult and then surprise them as soon as they round the corner. This is a fun thing I've done to several enemies in the past, and it almost always resulted in their death. Bomb King's ultimate is fairly fast, but it's also hard to control. You can't turn corners easily with it, so when you ult, you want as straight of a path as possible to your enemies, and you want to make sure you reach them as quickly as possible. You can use the Poppy Bomb tech to propel your ult into the sky, and you can also use it in combination with a plethora of different movement speed buffs, such as Grok's ult, Damba's speed card, or Grover's speed card to fly towards the enemies like a bowling ball down the lane. The King Bomb does 2,500 damage, which means it can one-shot almost anyone who's not a tank. However, there is some damage fall-off, which means that you'll sometimes need an additional sticky bomb to finish off a target while they're stunned. This means that you almost never want to use your ult while on low ammo. If you can, reload before you ult. That way you'll have as many sticky bombs as you need to finish the targets who survive your deadly King Bomb. Also, since it does 2,500 damage, your primary targets should be anyone who's not a tank, since tanks can often live through the ult and heal up the health right back up from their supports. While sometimes the stun will let your team finish off the tanks, you're usually better off blowing up the healer or damage champions instead. Bomb King is an interesting champion when it comes to talents. He has 2 talents which both augment his sticky bombs, and one which makes his Grumpy Bomb explode faster. Royal Subjects increases the radius of his sticky bombs by 20%, making it a good talent for warming up, negating cover, and hitting high mobility targets. You can use it to better hit enemies that are hiding behind walls, and it's an excellent counter to Khan when you don't have the high ground on him, since you can detonate the bombs just above his shield to damage him directly. You'll want to use this talent most often, since it's the most reliable way to deal damage to the majority of the roster due to his nerfed damage and the way that affected Chain Reaction. Chain Reaction is a tank killer talent that makes each subsequent bomb after the first one explodes onto a target deal 30% extra damage, capping out at 150% bonus damage. Before the nerf, 2 bombs on a target could deal 2,070 damage, which was enough to kill anyone with 2,000 health or below. This includes Koga, Leon, Skye, Maeve, Eevee, Shalane, Strix, Talus, and Xin. However, since the nerf, Bomb King can now only 2-shot Maeve, Eevee, and Talus, and he now must be running Chain Reaction to 2-shot Eevee, since he no longer does enough damage by default to 2-shot Eevee's health pool. This is a huge change in his interactions with these different champions, and is a huge nerf to Chain Reaction. Before, you could run this talent into these different squishy champions and have a major advantage, but now, Chain Reaction is only good for nuking tanks. The only time you want to run this talent is into a team with very beefy tanks, such as Rom. By nerfing BK in this manner, they indirectly made Royal Subjects and Accelerant stronger than Chain Reaction in most cases. Speaking of Accelerant, this one isn't as bad as I originally claimed in my guide from last year. This one makes the Grumpy Bomb explode 40% faster, making it explode in 1.8 seconds instead of 3 seconds. This one makes it much more viable to use for defense and securing stuns. However, since Resilience got buffed so that people can buy Resilience 2 at the start of the game, this isn't the best talent to use when you're on a team that already has a lot of crowd control effects, such as with an Ashe or an Atlas. Alright, now let's get on with Bomb King's loadouts. I'm going to be breaking down the loadouts in a bit of a different way than how I normally do with these guides. Most of the time, you'll either be using Royal Subjects or Chain Reaction, and both of these augment the same ability. This means that you can build situational loadouts around the different situations you find yourself in, and there's a lot of flexibility in which cards you can put in your loadout. First, I'll be going over which cards are strong to have in a Bomb King loadout, and then I'll be showing my own loadouts for you to consider. Of course, Accelerant needs its own separate loadout and there's not much flexibility for that one, but otherwise you can use any combination of these different cards depending on your personal preference. First, let's talk about Royal Decree, which got reworked this patch. Instead of stacking a reload speed buff depending on how many times you've detonated in the past few seconds, this one applies a static buff for 3 seconds after you press detonate, and if you detonate again, it simply refreshes the timer of that 3 seconds. To compensate, they buffed the card so it can have a maximum of 30% reload speed. While this card isn't as strong as it used to be, it can still be quite helpful at least level 3 in your loadout, but I wouldn't say it's the central focus of his loadouts like it used to be. Still, if you like reload speed, I would say this card is still viable. Next, Uncontrolled. This one reduces your active cooldowns by up to 50% after getting a killing blow. This is one I've been using a lot recently because it's so incredibly helpful. With how easy it is to secure a kill with Bomb King, you'll be proccing this card a lot, and this lets you spam your Grumpy Bombs and Poppy Bombs much more frequently. I absolutely love this card, and it's something you should consider running. Shock and Awe is a fun card that increases your movement speed by up to 50% for 4 seconds after you kill someone, much like Rampage for Makoa. This can be fun in a Nitro build, where you use this in conjunction with Uncontrolled to snowball kills into a team wipe. It's fun, but not mandatory. King's New Cloak is a very straightforward card. It increases Bomb King's maximum health by as much as 250, and when you max this card out, it lets you sustain 2 shots from Strix with 50 health to spare. It can be useful to max this out when going against snipers or heavy damage output teams. King's Court is another helpful survivability card which heals you for 75 health per sticky bomb you detonate. Now, don't get this confused with Life Rip, because that's not what it is at all. This simply heals you whenever you blow something up, regardless of if you hit an enemy or not. This means it stacks well with Life Rip, so you can get Life Rip or have a Corvus Pocket without worrying about diminishing returns. Now, Jolt is a very, very fun card to use. You can increase the effect of Poppy Bomb's knockback by up to 75% and make the Poppy Bomb explode instantly when it lands on the ground. This makes it so you don't have to worry about your Poppy Bomb being blown up by enemy fire, and it can be good to use against enemy blast champions like Willow. The knockback increase makes it one of the most powerful knockback abilities in the game, and can be hilarious to use on maps like Frog Isle which have massive ledges to send your enemies plummeting off of. However, in my experience, this card makes it much more cumbersome to use the Poppy Bomb as a movement ability. Instead of placing it on the ground, walking in front of it, and then detonating it, you have to physically turn your reticle behind you, throw the Poppy, then do another 180 to aim back at the enemies. This can be annoying, especially if you're used to how the Poppy Bomb normally works. However, over time, if you get used to playing with this card, it can be a useful filler in your loadouts when you're going against blasters. Or you can crank it up to 5 and recreate Kerbal Space Program in Paladins. Another card I want to talk about is Backdraft. This one reduces the cooldown of Poppy Bomb by up to a half a second for each bomb you detonate. This can be another nice one to use if you like using your Poppy Bomb fairly frequently. However, recently I've been shying away from it in favor of Uncontrolled, since I like having all my cooldowns reduced whenever I earn a kill. This one just comes down to personal preference, honestly, and you could run both if you so desire. Lastly, my favorite filler card is just a simple max ammo card, Reinforced Casing. Having a bit of extra ammo never hurts, and I find it really helpful. Just keep in mind that you can only have 6 bombs on the map at a time, so there's no sticking 7 bombs on a tank and then turning them into a fine burnt mush. Now, let's move on to my different loadouts which you can take guidance from if you so choose. The first one I use very frequently is called Juggernaut. This maxes out King's New Cloak and King's Court for survivability, and has Uncontrolled for some helpful cooldown reduction. I also have my typical filler card Reinforced Casing here, and Shock and Awe for some extra speed. I also have an alternate version of this loadout for dealing with blast-heavy team comps that are likely to destroy my Poppy Bomb, which has Jolt 1 so that the Poppy explodes instantly. Nitro is a fun loadout built around speed. I have Royal Decree at 5 so my reload is lightning fast, and I have Uncontrolled at 5 for the maximum cooldown reduction possible. Shock and Awe is at 3 for a ton of movement speed after a kill, which helps me snowball into a multi-kill, and then King's New Cloak and Reinforced Casing as fillers. Then we have the Mimi Jolt build for when I'm messing around on Frog Isle. We have Jolt 5 of course, and also Uncontrolled for cooldown reductions. You could swap this out for Backdraft like I mentioned earlier, but like I said, I just prefer this card. King's Court is in here for sustain, and then King's New Cloak and Reinforced Casing as fillers again. Finally, we have the Accelerant build. This one has Fallout at 5 for the maximum stun duration possible, so your team can almost guarantee the death of whoever is stunned. This also makes the stun a bit more resilient to resilience. Uncontrolled 5 here is better than the alternative of Countdown as long as you can kill your enemies reliably, since Countdown can only reduce the cooldown of Grumpy Bomb by 3 seconds at max, while Uncontrolled takes it down by 6 seconds per kill. Then we have King's Court 3 and some fillers. Ultimately, mastering Bomb King is really about having the right loadout for the right occasion, having good aim and positioning, and mastering the timing of his detonations and the use of his Poppy Bomb. But once you've got these key elements down, you can become a master with this incredibly powerful champion. But anyways, that's the end of this video. Did you guys enjoy this updated guide on how to play Bomb King, and did this help you improve at mastering this champion? Let me know in the comments down below or by joining my Discord server, where you can pick up tips, leave suggestions, and become a part of our active community. Also make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload from me. And if you know someone who's trying to improve with Bomb King, send this video their way, and maybe it could help them out. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.